Research fellow at the Legon Center for International Affairs and Diplomacy has called for a change in the status of the National Development Planning Commission. To come in business, Ghana Investment Promotion Center looks at strategic initiative and branding to make Ghana a globally competitive destination. And while on the foreign front, U.S. and Russian envoys hold key talks in London on the Ukraine crisis. Details of those stories and more coming up over the next hour with me, Kemini Nyamani Amano. And welcome to News Today. Now, a senior research fellow at the Legon Center for International Affairs and Diplomacy, Dr. Vladimir Nchidanso, has called for a change in the status of the National Development Planning Commission. According to him, the commission must be made an autonomous body so it can take action on national development priorities. Dr. Nchidanso further said the current state of the commission is being manipulated by successive governments.
Dr. Vladimir Nchidanso was speaking at a lecture organized by the African Public Policy Institute. The lecture was under the theme Promoting Accountable and Responsive Governance Through Citizens' Participation. According to Dr. Vladimir Nchidanso, the National Development Planning Commission must be changed into an autonomous body.
If you have a leader who is chopping democracy, don't you see we have a constitution? Shut up. And he is only managing, not transforming the society. Do we have institutionalism in Ghana? No. And I'll come to that. No. Either the government bells the institutions of state under their hypnosis, or they try to manipulate the institution. And we need to depoliticize development. And I've said this several times elsewhere. I've been challenged, but I'll blow that trumpet all the time. Please, let us change the status of the National Development Planning Commission. Turn it into an autonomous commission like the Electoral Commission. I know people say they can still be manipulated. But if we put the technocrats who plan for Ghana, who know that we have, say, 1.5 million deficit, so it's planned, they will tell us, based on the injections and leakages of our economy, we can liquidate this in 10 years. So they put it on a blueprint. Then again, schools, there is a research there. It is the work of the National Development Planning Commission. When they are able to do this, then the parties pick it and put it in their mandate. How are you going to liquidate it? As per the blueprints that the National Development Planning Commission has had for us. That is the only way. But you don't come and turn my 3-year into a 4-year. We bear all the... But if it is in the NDPC blueprint, you dare not. The citizens... I'm sorry, but chapter 6, Directive Principles of State Policy. Like how Ghana should be governed is there. So why do we fight? Why do we allow the politicians to bring in manifestos which are hollow? I say change the NDPC, which is a permanent organ with proper technocrats there doing research and giving us the blueprint for Ghana's development. And the us and them syndrome will minimize.
Chairman of the National Commission for Civic Education, Charlotte Osei, advised politicians to do away with partisan politics.
When the Minister of Finance reads the budget statement, before our honorable members here speak, I know exactly what they are going to say. It's true. I know exactly what you are going to say before you say it. And it all depends, if I take one of you as a person, it depends on who the finance minister is, what party he comes from. If it is an MPP finance minister, Honorable Osei Mensah is going to tell me that was a fantastic budget. If it is a Tekra, it would be a, what was the last one? A Chua budget. And so it colors, it really colors the public acceptance of the objectivity. And I think it's doing all of us a disservice, because sometimes they may be making a very, very good and objective point. But because the lenses are already colored, the objectivity is lost, because we think they've already made up their minds, even if they may not have. And that's because we have put extreme partisanship in everything. And I think it's something we need to look at. It affects how we take them, what the media writes. It affects civil society organizations. As soon as they speak, we say, oh, we know these ones. They are supporting NDC or they are supporting NPP. And so the oversight role that we should be playing, the checks and balances that we should have in the system, we have basically watered down the powers of these institutions or allowed them to water down their own powers by being so partisan. And so for me, that's a major challenge we need to look at.
Justice Kwesi Forson's report for Joy News.
One person was killed Thursday after an uncompleted six-story hotel structure collapsed at Niboy town in Accra. Reports indicate police have arrested the contractor working on the six-story hotel building that collapsed. Mrs. Abbey was picked up late Thursday afternoon by the police for supervising the construction of the hotel with tumbled down. Let's go over there now and join Matilda Vomaga, who is at the site of the collapse. Hello, Matilda.
Hello, Kemini.
What more can you tell us?
Well, you know, with what happened yesterday, most of the residents, especially those whose houses were close to the collapsed building, you know, that will raise some concerns that because of their proximity of the house to the train, they will not relocate the area.
I understand you spoke to some of these residents. Let's take a look at this. We'll come back to our conversation.
Exactly. Okay.
Because I didn't know, so we catch them said affecting the and and affecting.
Now, if you know how many were you in the house?
Okay, yeah, 20. Yeah, if you're 20, it says, see, other house, and so we 15 on there, and you're gonna meet it. We didn't hold the America because if you're in the front and back, so nipa 20.
So, catch you, Nama not more the mammo, Nama bene no the mammo.
Oh, near mamma, the buy no more. It's not enough because of near mano. I did my mamma and me and yet be and I be a dear with the man and I, when me near my enemy die, I collapse. And then yam. And so, my obino mattress, and so you know, any baby that I don't homeless. You need baby that, my baby that. My mattress, and so you need baby that. Obino quarantine hotel, Liz Gardy hotel could die. And I may say, me could die, Madame for. Oh, Madame for so banner. Mint me down and nebule. Oh, auntie, send them bear, not more, benya baby, my name done on the air pet, see. On my mattress, and so on my baby that. On the moon and pay on my then yam baby that.
Can you please give us your name?
I'm Kwesima.
Kwesima, tell us, how many of you were affected in this whole incident?
Yeah, in my house we are 15. In my house, yeah, 15 people.
So tell us, how do you feel about this whole thing, that you have to move out of your house at this crucial moment?
Very bad. This whole situation is just too bad. Too bad, yeah.
Has NADMO offered you any kind of support?
Well, NADMO, in my house we are 15. NADMO brought us about 8 mattresses and 8 blankets, bags of rice and some oil. You can see there on the other end there. Yeah.
So tell us, where did you pass the night last night?
Well, honestly, I have a very good friend who came around yesterday, and he took me to the hotel and paid for a room for one night for me. But with the rest, my siblings and stuff, they were all just here. Anywhere you could find, you sleep. Yeah. So they didn't really have rest anyway. They didn't really sleep.
So tell us, in this case, what exactly are you expecting from NADMO?
For now, as I'm speaking to you now, they are still working there. You can see the debris are still there. They are collecting them. But for now, we need a mobile toilet there and where we can sleep, because we cannot go far from here. We have our things in the rooms there. You understand? We have our own things there. The tenants are also there. So there is no way we could go far from here. So for now, we need shelter where we can spend the night. It's past 12 now. You can all see. Yeah. So within the next few minutes, the sun is going to go down. And definitely, you're going to feel sleepy. So we need shelter and a mobile toilet. At least we can, plead with people to use their bathhouse. Yeah, so we need shelter urgently and the mobile toilet.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Right, I still have Matilda Vomega over the telephone. Matilda, we heard from these persons who lived in the building, but what connection do they have with the building, really?
Exactly. They've been asked by NADMO to move out of this area because of their proximity to the scene. They have declared the whole area as a danger zone, a disaster zone. So these residents have to move out of their homes. But then we are being joined by the regional coordinator, Daniel Benson, who will be telling us more on this development.
Very well, please go ahead.
You're welcome to join Joynews Today. Residents have raised a lot of concerns with regards to relief items and things. What are your response to this?
Yeah, we realizing that their houses are so close to the disaster scene. We thought it was going to be dangerous for them to continue to be in their house. A lot of dust will be held by them, and in the event that some of the debris drop on their homes, they will be in danger. So we asked them to vacate those places.
Exactly. Tell us, we understand that some relief items have been given to each resident, but many of them are complaining that things are not enough and they haven't been provided a place to see. What exactly is NADMO doing about it?
What we have done is something temporary. We're hoping that by tomorrow we'll be over with this exercise and then they can come back to their homes. We are giving them mattresses and some food items. And the expectation is that friends are around. Some of them have agreed to put up with friends and relatives around. Those who don't have such opportunities have been given the chance to come with us to our head office where we could find accommodation for them.
Exactly. Your head office, what exactly is the accommodation like? Because most of these residents are saying that they are not comfortable sleeping in tents. What of that provision is NADMO doing for them? Because most of them tell me they had to pass the night outside.
So that.
No, we're not going to put them in tents. We have real accommodation for them. We have space. A lot of office space where they could put up the night.
Matilda.
Hello, Kemini.
The line is a bit patchy. We can't hear you well. What's the name of the gentleman you're speaking to again?
He is Daniel Mensah. He's the Greater Acquah coordinator of NADMO.
Very well. Daniel, a quick question for you. What these residents should be looking out for is how soon they can get back to their structures.
We're hoping that by the close of day tomorrow will be over and they can go back.
Why was it important that you moved them from there in the first place?
How many people? 18 people.
I'm not sure from our search it would be 18 people. But why was it important for you to evacuate them from their homes?
Come again?
I'm asking, why is it important that you had to evacuate them from their homes?
You asking why we had to do that?
Yes.
Oh, because their homes happen to be so close to the building that collapsed. And so as we remove the debris, the fear is that some could drop on their homes and they'll have to inhale a lot of dust, which is not good for their health. And so for health reasons, we thought that they should move out temporarily.
So what sort of relief items have you given them?
We have given them mattresses to enable them to put up with friends and relatives. We have given them some food items.
I see. These mattresses, where are they supposed to put them up to sleep?
People in the neighborhood, some people in the neighborhood have offered to accommodate some of them. For those who don't have such opportunities, we are saying our head office is there.
I see. But is this information they know? Because from the clip we had, what happened was some of them had to go and rent hotels. Some of them did not know where to sleep at all. Because they were only given mattresses.
No. There were some of them who felt that they were not going to be comfortable sleeping with neighbors. So they opted to go and look for their own accommodation. But let us get this clear. In situations like this, you cannot be as comfortable as you were in your own house. This is a temporary situation, and people must try to endure. Bear with us.
I get that. I understand that. But if you give them mattress alone, without tents...
Without what?
Were they offered tents as well?
No, I started by saying that people in the neighborhood, friends, relatives, people in the neighborhood. You know, in our African society, when these things happen, there are people around who are willing to support. We have got a lot of volunteers. So
Oh,
people
I see.
around,
You got a lot of volunteers, and so you were able to spread them over.
So people, but for those of them who didn't want to sleep with friends in the neighborhood, we said then we could take them to our head office. Some of them declined.
So you spread them over their own neighbors, is that it?
I'm saying that for those who didn't want to be in the neighborhood, we offered to take them to our head office, but some of them declined.
I understand that. What I'm saying, you said you had volunteers from the neighborhood who were ready to take in people.
Yes,
The question I want answered is, you from NATMO spread those who were willing to stay with neighbors over those volunteers you got.
Yes, we told them the
I
police
see.
were available.
Thank you very much. We'll leave it here for now. We'll bring you more on this in subsequent broadcasts. We'll move on to something else now. And what we'll do is we'll try and get in touch with the police and find out what happened to the supervisor as far as that construction work on the Niboy Town Hotel is concerned. But we'll move on to something else quickly. We'll come back to it later. The Speaker of Parliament, Edward Ajahu, has summoned the Minister of Roads and Highways to appear before the House to brief members on the steps being taken to address the challenges which have resulted from the closure of the Adom Bridge. The Speaker gave the directives after members of Parliament had expressed concern over the hardship brought about by the closure of the bridge. He also directed the Parliamentary Select Committee on Roads and Transport to visit the new crossing site created by the Ghana Highway Authority to ascertain the facts regarding the problems created by the closure and report to the House for appropriate action. According to the MPs, the Ghana Highway Authority appeared not to have made adequate preparations before the shutdown. The Adom Bridge at Atimpoku in the Sojaman district in the eastern region was closed to vehicular and human traffic Monday, March 10, 2014 for major rehabilitation works to begin. And the MP said, for example, that alternative road routes had not been rehabilitated, while one of the ferries which had been secured to carry humans and vehicles across the Volta River was not in good condition and broke down frequently. So a rescue team earlier today, after 3 hours, rescued a student who was trapped in a wreckage after an accident on the NY Highway at Jawulu in Accra. The accident happened at around 4 a.m. Friday morning. A DAF trailer had trapped him for more than 3 hours. The trailer carrying cement slammed into the rear of a Toyota Corolla after the silent car tried to overtake it. The trailer pushed it off the road, crashed into a metal railing on the N1 highway at Jawulu and continued its impact until a street lamp brought the wreckage to a stop. 2 others were also rescued and sent to a hospital. The freed student was not severely injured physically but had a few bruises on his hands and legs. First Lady Lodina Dramani Mahama has, on behalf of her organization, the Lodina Foundation, presented an ambulance to the Princess Marie Louise Children's Hospital in Accra. According to Mrs. Mahama, is in response to a request from the hospital and in line with a commitment to improve health service delivery in Ghana. The only children's hospital in the country, the Princess Marie Louise Children's Hospital, has been conveying emergency cases to other health facilities in public transport. In her remarks at the presentation ceremony, the First Lady, who is also the national president of her foundation, urged the Health Ministry to implement policies that will improve efficient service delivery as well as ethical conduct in the country's health facilities. Stakeholders in the health sector are pushing for a price and policy for medicines produced and imported into the country. Such a policy, they say, would help prevalence of fake and substandard drugs currently available on the market.
One of the major challenges facing healthcare delivery is the issue of substandard and fake drugs. Though efforts are being made to fight the menace, the lack of pricing policy has been identified as a major factor contributing to the proliferation of substandard drugs in the country.
Where medicines are expensive, people go for cheaper alternatives or for cheaper ones, thinking that they work. As a country, we do not have a pricing policy for medicines. So medicines prices vary tremendously, and medicines in Ghana are extremely expensive. In fact, it takes a lot of money, sometimes a whole man's salary, just to buy life-saving medicines. So people resort to cheap ones. So the Ministry of Health and the government should do very well to have a very firm pricing policy, at least so that we know the recommended price limit or range, so that people are not ripped off. Currently, patients are at the mercy of everyone who sells medicine.
At a stakeholders forum to discuss improving access to medicines, participants called on government to reduce the tariffs on genuine drugs so ordinary Ghanaians can afford.
Does that mean that VAT has to go away? Maybe yes. Does that mean that there's a maximum markup that people have to give? Maybe yes. When we do all these things, we can hold people accountable, and then we tell the consumer that don't buy paracetamol for more than 10 cities or something along that line. Then the public is empowered, the suppliers or the sellers are aware that somebody is watching, and the government is then taking its responsible position that all governments must take.
They are also calling for the passage of the consumer bill into law. Though the Food and Drugs Authority notes there have been some progress in tackling the issue of substandard anti-malaria drugs from 36% in 2009 to 3% in 2013, it says it is procuring technology to detect on the spot substandard and fake drugs.
You're watching News Today. In our headlines, Senior Research Fellow at the Lagos Center for International Affairs and Diplomacy, Dr. Vladimir Enchidanso, has called for a change in the status of the National Development Planning Commission. But ahead, Ghana Investment Promotion Center looking at strategic initiatives and branding to make Ghana a globally competitive destination. To come still, U.S. and Russian envoys hold key talks in London on the Ukraine crisis. I'm glad you stayed on. Now, the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, in the face of declining foreign direct investments, is looking at strategic initiatives and branding to make Ghana a globally competitive destination for investments. GIPC Chief Executive Mawena Treba explains Ghana needs investments with tangible results which will translate into development.
Foreign direct investment into Ghana's economy, according to the Ghana Investments Promotion Center GIPC, declined significantly last year. The figure came down by 19% to $3.9 billion in 2013 compared to almost $5 billion recorded in 2012. For the GIPC, Ghana must be strategically positioned to attract more FDIs.
Quite frankly, Ghana is in a very different place now. We're progressing to upper middle income status. That means that certain types of interventions from international institutions will no longer apply to us. So we really need to become extremely competitive, extremely smart about how we showcase, first of all, the sort of image we want of this country as a destination of choice, the kinds of experiences that we're creating for investors, both domestic and international, because a domestic investor is as great an ambassador as the Investment Promotion Center itself. And obviously the sorts of tangible results that investors can see. If they're not profitable, then we have not been successful. But at the same time, if the investment doesn't translate into development, then we're also still not successful. And so it's an important time for us to take a look at our competitive advantages.
Many businesses have argued the current directives from the central bank are not market friendly and will hurt investment. But Marina Trevor agrees somewhat, explaining that the regulators should have openly communicated their intentions with the private sector.
What we have tried to do as an investment promotion center is to facilitate continued conversations. We have quarterly CEOs breakfast meetings, and the very last one we had recently was exactly about the Bank of Ghana directives. I think that in the course of the conversations, it became abundantly clear to many of the private sector players that there is a reason to have to institute those directives in support of stabilizing the economy. And so I think from our perspective, ensuring that there's open communication and clear awareness from the private sector to the officials who make the decisions on each of these directives, whether it be Parliament, whether it be the Bank of Ghana institutions, whether ourselves as GIPC, it's our responsibility to ensure that the private sector feels like it can engage directly with decision makers, with policy makers.
Meanwhile, the GIPC, in partnership with the Parliamentary Select Committee on Trade, Industry and Tourism, engaged businesses, particularly in the private sector, on the impact of the GIPC Act 865 Act 2013 on the activities.
After the law has been passed, the regulation will give teeth to the law to be able to bite. And so that will clarify what you hear people asking, is it 5 years, is it 3 years, is it this? The regulations will come. So the committee is now well equipped through the information that we are getting. And so when eventually the regulations are brought to us, we would be able to enrich, study those that we think have to be included to address the concerns that the investors are bringing up.
The GIPC also maintains it is ready to enforce the legislation and make it appealing to investors by showing how supportive it is for investors.
Let's check our activities on the stock market. David Acquah is here with us. He's a researcher at the Gold Coast Fund Management. Thank you very much for joining us. Tell us about activities on the stock market.
The stock market this week, I would say, has not been good, because you've seen the composite index, or the index that measures the average performance on the Ghana stock market, going down from Monday till the close of yesterday. We don't know what is going to happen on the market today. The financial index, on the hand, was able to yield a little to investors. It was up on 2 days, then Thursday it dropped again. So opening the composite index opening at 12.67. On Monday it closed Thursday at 17.70, closed at 11.70 year to date, and the financial index also opened at 19.62, but has been able to add a little, closing at 19.78. So you can see, though the average market is dropping, the financial stocks are pulling a little, with the dollar adjusted index as measured by the Gold Coast All Share Index is now still widening its depreciation to -4.78, throwing a little bit of light on this, meaning that investors that went to the Ghana stock market and they want to measure their returns in terms of dollars are making a year-to-date depreciation of 4.78. At the beginning of the week it was 4.38, and now it's 4.78. I think this is not a good thing, and these are some of the factors contributing to the downturns that we are seeing on the Ghana stock market. Because if investors come, especially the foreign investors, and their monies are going down, or the worth of their investment is going down, then you should not expect them to bring in more money, but they will be thinking of what, cashing out some of their returns or their investment on the market.
Do we know why there was a poor performance this week?
The economy in general has been very weak or feeble for the past month, and the new inflation for February was up and was out and was 14%. So giving a signal that the money market becomes more profitable, because anytime you see inflation going up, you see the money market instrument also shooting up.
I hear some of them are paying dividends already.
The money market, they will be paying the interest, and that is a fixed, so is determined. And once you see the inflation going up, then all things being equal, you see the money market instrument also going up. So you've seen that T-bill is also going up slightly, and all other money market returns will also move in that trend. And anytime we see that particular trend, then it means that it becomes risky on the capital market, because those who are on the capital market or the listed equities, they need to get these funds as debt or whatever to operate. And once their cost of operation is very high, then all things being equal, they are also going to drop in their profit level. And all investors are in for returns, so then they tend to go to.
So it's a good time to invest in the money market.
I would say, looking at the trend for the short time, I would say yes, it's a good time for some investors to go to the money market. But as we always do say, the best time to invest in stocks is when the stocks are down there, when they are not yielding. Then you invest in it. So once the economy picks up, because if the economy is not doing well, I mean, inflation consistently is increasing. We have our CD also depreciating. We should not see the our stock exchange, I mean, yielding so much to investors. When you look at the South African market, they are also having a bit of crisis in the economy, and that is also affecting their exchange. If you look at the Nigerian stock market, the same trend is also flowing out there. But if you look at economy like the Kenyan and the Egyptian market, they are rather pushing. So once the economic indicators are not right, then you might not see the stock market yielding to investors. That was the reason why at the beginning of the year we said, though the market was yielding, if government does not put in place measures to stabilize the performance of the economy, that we might see the stock market going up. And that is what I think we are seeing. So we are waiting to see the CD go up, and we are waiting to see some other indicators also being straightened up. Then we will see the stock market giving so much to investors.
Now, are you hopeful the CD will go up?
That one, maybe let's leave it for the the other analysts to talk about it.
Thank you very much, David. For more on this, you can visit the Gold Coast Fund Management Office here in Accra. Move on to some other stories. And civil society organization Third World Network says the fall in gold prices is not significant enough to warrant the recent massive layoffs in the mining sector. The organization is asking government to ensure there is multifaceted regulatory regime to govern the sector and ensure the economy accrues the revenues due it and not succumb to the pressures of the mining companies.
The recent fall in gold prices has been the bane for which about 3,080 mining workers have been laid off out of the 28,000 workers in the sector. But for the Third World Network, the move is uncalled for as the mining companies continue to either make profits or losses when prices of gold goes up or decline.
You then have a relative drop in price to around 1,300, and then suddenly everybody starts crying that, you know, the bottom is falling out of the world. It's very difficult to believe. What it shows, in my view, is that the companies have a cold focus on their benefits and very, very minimal commitment to this country. Our government, and it's not only the Ghanaian government in Africa, make the mistake of having lax regimes. When prices go up and the companies are making huge profits, they start scrambling after them. A small drop and the companies say, you see, prices are dropping. This instrument is not applicable. It's about having a multifaceted, rigorous regime which you apply flexibly, so at any point in time you are getting the best fiscal return.
The organization therefore brought together stakeholders in the industry to discuss the consequences of the falling gold prices and Ghana's dependence on minerals. For the Ghana Mine Workers Union, the massive job losses only come to aggravate the illegal mining government is battling with.
These job losses further swell up the already precarious unemployment situation Ghana is battling with and its attendant social costs. The gloomy picture is that some of these redundant mine workers join in the galamsey activities with their experiences and competencies from working with some of the companies in the mining industry.
He also called for a comprehensive infrastructure growth agenda for deprived mining communities. For a country that relies more on mineral raw materials, the contribution of its benefits to the economy, according to the Minerals Commission, is slim.
There's quite a bit of dependence on it. But with the recent decline last year, it had telling effects on us. So you can imagine if that's all we depended on. So that's why it's good to diversify into other sectors as well. The industrial sector, the service sector, and so on. But even within the mining sector, to diversify the number of minerals we depend on as well. So those are very important things.
Stakeholders are meanwhile calling for transfer pricing regulations for the sector to ensure leakages are sealed and the economy fully reaps the benefits of the industry.
Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg says he has called President Barack Obama to express his frustration over U.S. digital surveillance. Zuckerberg, 29, said the U.S. government should be the champion for the internet, not a threat. His comments come after a report the U.S. National Security Agency imitated a Facebook server to infect surveillance targets' computers. The NSA said the report was inaccurate in September. Zuckerberg said the U.S. blew it on internet spying. The United States has lifted a ban on oil giant BP that prevented it from bidding for U.S. government contracts. The ban was imposed after the 2010 Gulf of Mexico oil spill caused by an explosion on BP's Deepwater Horizon rig, which killed 11 people. The lifting of the ban comes after BP agreed to a set of safety operations and compliance requirements. The move will allow BP to enter into new contracts with the U.S. government, including in the Gulf of Mexico. As part of the agreements, BP will also drop its lawsuit against the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. The firm had sued the EPA after it had imposed the ban for improper statutory disqualification and suspension. There's sports after this. Don't go away.
Good afternoon. I am Baba Tando with the latest in the world of sports, brought to you by Cowbell. Now, Ghana moved 2 places up the FIFA World Ranking released earlier on Thursday. Now, the Black Stars, despite losing 1-0 to Montenegro in a friendly recently, are now positioned 35th in the overall ranking. Ghana's point build-up, previously at 733, is now 729 points. The March edition of the rankings took into account a total of 67 matches, of which 57 were friendlies. In Africa, the Black Stars have slipped 1 place below to 5th from their previous position of 4th on the continental ranking table. Ivory Coast are still in the lead, followed by Algeria, Egypt and Cape Verde in that order. World champions Spain are still in the lead, followed by Germany, with Argentina in 3rd. Now, the Ghana Football Association has placed an indefinite ban on the Bodia Park in the Western region following the assault on the late referee Kwame Che Ando, who passed on days later he was assaulted. The decision was arrived at after an executive committee meeting with the Western Regional Football Association.
Ghana FA has banned the Bodia Park where referee Kwame Ando Che is said to have suffered physical assault, leading to his death days later. The Class 3 referee suffered severe beatings while officiating as an assistant in the 3rd-tier league match between Gold Stars and Najo United. Referee Ando Che died days later and will be buried this weekend in Prestia. The Ghana FA, in its initial findings, after meeting with executive members of the Western Regional Football Association, have decided to ban the Bodia Park, home of Gold Stars, indefinitely. The Ghana FA has also referred the matter to the police while waiting for the final autopsy report of the deceased before taking further actions. Ghana FA spokesperson Ibrahim Sani Dara, in a briefing this afternoon, also revealed plans to foot part of the costs of the funeral of referee Che Ando while hinting at further sanctions.
Sports Minister Joseph Yamin has told Joy Sports the planning committee for this year's Commonwealth Games is talking to Benunu Mensah out of his decision to quit as chef de mission of Team Ghana. Benunu Mensah, who doubles as the treasurer of the Ghana Olympic Committee, tendered in his resignation letter on Monday, citing personal reasons. But Joseph Yamin, who doubles as head of the 25-member planning committee, says they are working hard to prove or to have him back at post.
The shocking letter, that is the resignation of Benunu Mensah as the chef de mission, it wasn't a pleasant news. I mean, looking at the time and what is involved. I spoke to Benunu Mensah this morning as well to get a side of the story. The assurance is that the GOC will be meeting to take a decision on the resignation of Benunu Mensah, and so we are awaiting the outcome of that meeting. We'll also make a statement on that. But I think that he has raised issues, and the issues I believe are issues that can be resolved. Well, I won't be able to also put it out here because I'll be preempting whatever he has, but I'll be glad if this decision can be reversed.
Uli Juarez is to resign as Bayern Munich president and chairman in the wake of his conviction for tax evasion. The 62-year-old, who played for Bayern Munich from 1970 to 79 before retiring through injury aged 27, will not appeal against his 3.5-year sentence. Uli Juarez was sentenced on Thursday to 3 years and 6 months in jail for tax evasion by a German court. Uli Juarez admitted defrauding German tax authorities of millions of euros. The former World Cup winning Germany striker, 62, had kept the funds in a secret Swiss bank account. Juarez was initially charged with evading 3.5 million euros taxes, but he then admitted to dodging another 15 million euros. West Brom player Nicolas Anelka will serve his 5-match ban after the Football Association and the striker both decided not to contest the decision. The Frenchman, 34, had 7 days to appeal, but that time has now elapsed. The FA had wanted a heavier sanction than an independent commission gave Anelka for his canal gesture. The governing body also confirmed that Anelka himself has decided not to contest the Independent Regulatory Commission's punishment. Now, Manchester United striker Robin van Persie says he wants to extend his contract at Old Trafford. The 30-year-old has been docked by claims he does not get on with manager David Moyes, and it has even been suggested he may leave in the summer. However, the Netherlands international insists he is content at United. Van Persie has admitted the huge amount of debate about his future is partly down to his limited public statements. Mario Gomez scored a vital away goal to leave the Europa League tie between Fiorentina and Juventus all square after the first leg in their last 16 clash. The home side took the lead in the 3rd minute when a loose ball fell kindly to Vidal in the penalty area, and he made no mistake volleying past Neto with a strike into the bottom corner. English Premier League side Tottenham will need to overturn a 2-goal deficit if they are to reach the Europa League quarter-finals after losing to Benfica in the first leg of their last 16 tie at White Hart Lane. Tottenham lost 3-1 in the first leg. It's a wrap for Sports and News Today, courtesy Cowbell. My name is Baba Tando. The news is not done. We'll be back after the break.
Thank you very much for staying on News Today from Sports. Let's check out news from elsewhere. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry is holding talks on Ukraine with his Russian counterpart in London in an attempt to defuse tensions 2 days before a disputed referendum in Crimea. Kerry earlier warned of various very serious steps if Russia annexes the Crimea region. On Thursday, Russia insisted at the UN it did not want war with Ukraine. US and European leaders have called the Russia-backed referendum unconstitutional, and Kerry has warned Moscow of serious consequences if it annexes the Ukrainian peninsula. Kerry has warned of serious steps should Russia annex the region. Russia insisted at the UN on Thursday it did not want war with Ukraine. In arts and entertainment, the revival of dancehall music seems to be going very well as more female band musicians get on board. The latest arrival is Eno. Eno says she is targeting to give her male counterparts a run for their money.
Call her a dreamer, but Eno says she is the best female rapper here in Ghana and is yet to meet any female rapper who is as good as herself. She shares with us her difficulties as an upcoming act.
It's not easy. You know, in Ghana, they don't really recognize the females, especially with the rappers. When you go outside the country, they have awards for best female rappers and all that. In Ghana, we don't have that. And so even if you are like just doing it, you not feel motivated or something.
But that would not stop her.
For me, I think this is what I want to do, and I mean, I've not seen any female rap like me. I don't know if somebody is there, but I've not seen anybody do it like me because I'm targeting the guys. So I think so far I'm just doing what I want to do and what makes me feel like I'm the best. So yeah.
Meanwhile, she has urged all upcoming artists to hold on to their dreams and make it happen.
Really big dreams. Meanwhile, headline senior research fellow at the Lagos Center for International Affairs and Diplomacy, Dr. Vladimir Chidanso, has called for a change in the status of the National Development Planning Commission. Ghana Investment Promotion Center looks at strategic initiatives and branding to make Ghana a globally competitive destination. US and Russian envoys hold key talks in London on the Ukraine crisis as Sunday's disputed referendum in Crimea looms. Visit myjoyonline.com for more news. Thank you very much for staying through the hour. My name is Kimini Nyamani Amano. Have a great weekend.